What's up? It's me back again, Analog Attack. Welcome to episode 16 of Iron Maiden. Morning, Chris.
Good evening. We're back on our
Today we're back to our
regularly
normal
scheduled
time slot.
time stuff, right?
It feels right. Felt so wrong last week. No,
This is appropriate for an out of sorts album by the
yeah,
guy.
I don't think anybody noticed. So, wow, 16 episodes we've done, and this is where we're going to end. So we went from the start and the end to the beginning. Pretty interesting, interesting spot to finish. But I think it was for the best we did it like this, right?
I think it's nice. I think it's a
Yeah,
nice way to change it up.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Well, Further Dark. Talking about Further Dark. Let's have a look at it.
Ha!
Wait.
Two different
So
TVs?
I've got two different like Japanese CDs of this for some reason. Don't know why. No bonus tracks or anything. But as you probably can guess,
Is this a Parfalone?
Parlophone, Parlophone
Parlophone?
came to the rescue. I did have a UK original of this at one point, but got rid of it.
Let's see. What do we have here? This is EMI. Oh, this is UK. Yeah, the
Yeah,
barcode.
that's one I had.
UK.
That's one I had. Yeah,
Um,
I traded
not,
it in
not
for
too thick, not too puffy. And as I
Shiny.
showed you off camera, I've got a merch sheet here.
Oh, you like the hat, right? The
I'd
cap.
like the hat.
Mm.
As a man of a certain age, you only get less hair the older you get.
Oh,
So,
you've got a nice barnet.
oh, thank you.
So yeah, I've got the usual Parlophone. Sounds good. Glossy though. These Parlophones are a bit glossy.
Those things, I feel like you could spill like a milkshake on them, and it would just slide right off
Shall we,
unaffected.
shall we give it a go?
Uh,
Live
you're
on
welcome.
air. Okay, so 1992, as usual. Let's look back at the year in heavy metal. I've got a bit of a stack. It's actually better than I was expecting.
All right.
There's some new things coming into play, I guess. So let's have a little look, shall we? Before we start, what were you doing in the year of 1992?
Quite a year. It was when I started staying home alone with no adult supervision.
Oh,
So I was really, really mainlining like probably, I don't know, probably like 8 hours at least of like MTV and radio every day.
glad you mentioned MTV. I'm gonna say that word again a couple of times.
I think I probably will too. I really liked the grunge stuff that was getting a lot of play, but also I was aware of like the big metal of the day, like
Right.
Metallica, Pantera was really
Yeah.
like starting to become a thing, and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
I was in the thick of it, man, just loving life, reading comic books, watching MTV,
I think
eating
I said
ice
this.
cream.
I think I said this before, but like kind of mid '90s, I just kind of lost period for me. Lost years. Don't remember.
So 92, you don't
Oh,
remember where you were?
actually, I do. That I was kind of lying a bit. I was still doing MCR UK, the like Japanese distribution. I was kind of living in a squat with like 4 or 5 other gentlemen. No cartoons, no MTV. A lot of drinking and playing like Japanese CDs and you know stuff like that. No
Is
work,
it, can
unemployed.
I want to ask you one question. Is
Mm-mm.
is 92 the year the Juntus 7-inch came out on
I think
MCR
I
UK?
think it was actually, yeah.
Okay.
I should have bought
Choose
that. That was a good like heavy metal single from from the year of
one of
'92.
one of the great cheap Japanese hardcore records.
It looks like a bootleg, but it's not. It's actually official.
Art looks good too.
Yeah, sounds good too. I just because you're a sound guy. Would you like to know how that was done?
I would love to know.
Okay, so I had the CD, right, the original like Japanese CD. We just hooked like a CD player up to a DAT player, fed it straight through, and sent the DAT tape to the pressing plant. That was it.
Hey man, it worked. That's a good sounding record.
Right? Sounds good. Okay, let's get to it. So I'm going to show a CD today just because it was right by where it was, and it's kind of
Oh yeah.
right,
Oh
kind
yeah.
of very of the year, I would say.
Of the time, like the cutting edge of new music.
I love the artwork though. Rollins Band, End of Silence, 1992. Okay, you did say grunge, didn't you? A couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, sure did.
The best grunge album of all time, possibly.
There she is.
Incredible. I don't even want to call this grunge. It's kind of way beyond that. It's just incredible record.
Yeah, alternative metal, maybe you could say.
Yeah. Anyway, fantastic record. Oh, our friends in Anathema were back with this. They were crestfallen in 1992.
Oh yeah. I can feel the sadness from here.
Yeah, still do me in 92. Black Sabbath,
White a year for the boys.
Humanizer. Nice original here. There you go. Great record. Bolt Thrower. Some people say this is their favourite Bolt Thrower record. It's not mine, but there we go.
A popular one.
It's a popular
Not
one.
my
Yeah, people like this.
favorite, popular one.
Fourth Crusade came out. Black Metal, Norway. Dark Throne.
There she is.
Blaze in the Northern Sky. Here's a good one. Mr. Danzig.
Oh, there, yeah. Danzig 3.
Danzig 3. How the Gods Kill. Great album. And oh, this is a great one. I think I might have showed this in our thrash metal episode that we did. Did I? Demolition Hammer.
Oh, I hope you did. That's their best stuff. That's a great album.
This is a ripper. It's really expensive now too. I found it's like real cheap. It's kind of hard to find. Great record. Our old friends, Godflesh, came out with Pure. This is my favourite Godflesh record. Favourite Godflesh album, by the way.
It's a more impressionistic era of Godflesh.
Just nice. It's like it's still heavy, but it's kind of catchy, listenable. Grunge-ish. Helmet.
Grunge adjacent.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm a huge fan of this record. I think it's held up really well. It still sounds good to me today. Helmet.
50-50 for me.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. These boys are still with us. Just getting started, really. Immortal. Flame-throwing.
Your Holocaust?
Yeah. Diabolical full moon mysticism.
Ah, yes. The only kind of full moon mysticism I have.
There you go. Got to be diabolical. Here we go. Important record, I would say.
Yes. Grunge adjacent as well, in my opinion.
I would say so, but kind of important record.
Yeah.
Caius. Blues for the Red Sun. Back to England. These boys put out a couple of records actually this year. My Dying Bride put out these kind of mini albums. That's The Flower Withers, and this one. I can't pronounce the title, but here it is. Symphonia Infernus et Spera Imperium. Mini LP. My least favourite Motorhead album came out in 1992.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
No, that's not the worst.
I still can't get into this one at all. I'm sorry. I really can't. There you go. But I would say some slight similarities with Fear of the Dark, perhaps.
In a way.
In a way. Here's a good one. Obituary.
Yep.
The End Complete. Back to England again, the Doom Boys. But they were kind of sounding like Metallica again.
Yeah.
Paradise Lost. Shades of God. Doomy again, is a Doom one, but with a different vocalist.
Ah, yes.
St. Vitus. Cash on Delivery. The Count.
A very underrated piece of work.
Produced by Don Dokken.
Thank you for mentioning that.
There you go. Here's a weird one to end up with. Bit out of, sort of from left field, but it's kind of not really the real one, but I'm going to show anyway.
Ah.
One. Satanic Blood Angel.
Things certainly had changed in the course of 10 years.
Yeah. So there you go, Chris. That was actually
From
not bad
Number of
yet.
the Beast to Satanic Blood Angel. It's just, it's a different world.
Yes. Yeah. It's not MTV, right? It's not grunge. Not Caius. Pretty crazy for 1992, I would say. No, not a bad year really. Overall, I was kind of
Quite good, actually.
pretty good. Yeah. Right. But was our album in the top 5 or top 10 of 1992? I keep there you go.
I don't know. Definitely, I'm going out on a limb and saying not in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, it's not. No, I don't think so. Not for me either. But
There's, I don't think too many people would argue that.
good. Okay, so this is kind of an album of a few firsts and maybe a last or two as well. So it's the first double album, right? First double album.
Certainly is. Starting the problematic well, not problematic the way people say it today, but the worrisome trend of double Iron Maiden albums. So that's one thing.
Yeah. What else was first? Oh, we had a different artist. So let's look at the art.
Yeah.
Let's look at the cover. Yeah, it was done by Melvin Grant.
That's his name, Melvin.
Yeah. Got a bit of a Rod Smallwood quote. He said they wanted to upgrade Eddie for the 90s. Is this an upgrade, Chris?
Eddie is part tree.
Yeah.
In this. I actually have a memory of seeing this poster in the shop.
Okay.
And I think I've said this before. It was maybe the first time that I realized that Iron Maiden was a band and not just like a thing that people, a character, And I remember thinking it was scary, but I mean, I would have been like 11, so like I was like, scary picture, but I wasn't scared of it. I don't know. I like that it looks like he's this like weird tree elemental, like fairy spirit, but like it doesn't work for the band at all.
No.
It's like I think it would look cool if someone did like a comic book of like different interpretations of Eddie, and like this would be a good one,
That's funny you said that, because actually Rod Smallwood did say they wanted him to sort of look like some kind of comic book horror creature. So there you go.
Well, here, I'll just throw this out there. You might not know this, but at this time, I mean, horror comics always sort of have existed, as long as comics have, but there was like a real renaissance of horror comics coming around this time, sort of coming out of the home video explosion of horror movies. So like Clive Barker had a comics line, which this feels a little maybe inspired by, but there was also a sort of more like a gothic horror comics line called Vertigo at the time that was like extremely popular, and I could see this actually kind of being somewhat influenced by that aesthetic that they had in those publications. So that actually that tracks to me that Smallwood's.
I think I have more.
Yeah, but I don't know. It is a memorable cover. It might be their last.
Oh, I kind of forgot about the back too. I actually never really, I don't know, like the photo of the band is so like striking that I barely noticed the apparition behind them.
They kept trying to work this thing into different stuff. There's a Live at Hammersmith VHS or a record or something that has like a drawn version of this character.
Right.
It looks like somebody told them they could all only dress in black and blue clothing.
Yeah, they haven't kind of changed their look too much from 2 years previous, right?
Yeah.
I think Steve Harris, I could be wrong. Isn't he wearing like the Almighty, that band The Almighty t-shirt?
He is wearing that.
which is kind of interesting. They're kind of a Wolfsbane kind of a band, you know.
They were one of those bands that was supposed to be big in the UK at that time.
They were, yeah, yeah. That's a band that's very of its time. So yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah, actually, Chris, I don't actually mind this illustration. I've always this kind of wide space has always bothered me. I prefer it to fit the whole
The
page.
feathering out of this black uh,
Yeah.
is a little bit odd. Like
Mm.
the Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like it was really meant for an LP cover. I think they were probably thinking of like cassette and CD at this point, but
Good point. Yeah.
I don't love it. Yeah,
Don't
I
love
don't
it.
know.
Don't
It's
hate
okay.
it. Mm. I'm on the.
I like
I'm
it
on
better
the.
than the last.
True. So that couple of firsts, new artists, double LP. What else is new? My notes say that it was the first record to be produced by Steve Harris. But is that true?
I believe, well, so it's co-produced.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a co-production job between
Yeah.
him and Mark Birch, um, which I guess sort of signals that maybe Martin Birch has one foot out the door on this.
Well, it was the last album he ever produced, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it seems, it really seems like Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is the last album he ever produced.
Mm.
Uh, but I don't know, sometimes people hang on a little longer than they should. Um, it sounds better than the last one, in part because it's
Mm.
not all recorded at the house
Right.
or the barn, I guess you could say. Um, maybe it is. Wait, no. It says that it is. And I could have sworn that they did part of it elsewhere, and
Mm.
that's my lack of research for you. Um, no, you know what it is? I know.
Mm.
The last one they used the Rolling Stones mobile unit,
That's
and
it.
this one, they actually had installed a recording setup,
There you go.
and there's the difference also. I mean, it sounds better, I think, in part because they had recorded in this location before and maybe just knew a little more of what to
Mm.
expect, what to do. Um,
Yeah. Well, Guitar World, we just said, would this make our top 5 or top 10? Guitar World ranked it number 8 guitar albums of the year in 1992.
hmm,
Guitar World magazine.
I yeah, it could be number 8.
I don't know what was number 7 and number 6 and number 1, but this was number 8. And it kind of got mixed reviews, I guess. An improvement over No Prayer for the Dying seems to be a bit of a
That's
consensus. Is it? I don't. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out later. But yeah, I think you're quite familiar with this record, aren't you, Chris? Much more than I am.
probably
Mm.
well, because I think once I got past the impossible winning streak of the first 7, um, probably this and Brave New World were the next ones I turned to. Um, I'm not sure. I guess I probably picked this up because of the song "Fear of the Dark,"
Right.
and I remember reading about it and reading that there was like some thrash elements on "Be Quick or Be Dead," so I wanted to hear that song just to see what that meant.
Mm-mm.
Um, but the main thing I remember is hearing this album and not caring for the vocals, which started last album where he was doing a raspier, throatier kind of Bruce, more street level, as they probably said.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember that took a while to adjust to, and I don't really notice it much now.
Would Would you have been like familiar with Ian Gillan and like Brian Johnson at that point?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Uh,
this it sounds like a kind of weird hybrid of like Ian Gillan and Brian Johnson to me. That's what he kind of sounds like throughout this record.
I always thought there was a lot of Well, I guess, by extension, Axl Rose as
Mm-mm-mm.
well. It sounds weird. It sounds like, it's like Michael Jordan playing baseball or something like that. Not the first time I've mentioned Michael Jordan.
Because I got a bit of deja vu there. I was like, it's got...
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. They if you don't remember what deja vu means, there's a song that explains it to you.
There you go.
It's like he's still very talented and good, but it's like someone suppressing their national inclinations.
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, I just realized I have a Michael Jordan photo like out of frame.
That's why you keep
Probably
mentioning
why
him.
I keep
Get
mentioning
rid of
this
him.
guy.
Get rid of him.
Okay, but you can tell it's just like it's Bruce trying not to be himself, and even some of the melody lines he writes, there is this difference, right? Like,
Mm.
and I do think it's influenced by the Metallica record that came out the year before. I mean, that is to say, I think this period of Bruce is influenced by Metallica at this time. So, and Justice for All and Black Album, and not that he's trying to sound like those,
Mm.
because I don't think he's trying to sound like those, but I think those albums loomed really large
Mm.
in heavy metal. Certainly, like, you could not get away from the Black Album once it came out.
Right.
Um, at least for me, I mean, from my window to the world, which, like I told you, probably all day long MTV and radio. I would watch MTV till my parents came home, and then I would just switch over to the radio, and it'd be the same songs, in
Right.
rotation on. But the way that Hetfield had like a really, I mean, this is like the first time that people had these like lower growly voices, but they
Mm-mm.
were still singing melodically, like Metallica in that era, like it's not yelled like Fight Fire with Fire. it's
Mm.
it's like all sung very deliberately on
Right.
key. And I just think like that approach, which is not just Metallica, but I think of them maybe as like the biggest example of that is just being integrated here, and Bruce is trying to stay contemporary, and like nobody sings high anymore,
Right.
sort of. I mean, at least bands that are on, the cutting edge, which is where Maiden's trying to be.
Right. Funny thing, I was thinking about as I was listening to this record this week and last week. But when I was a kid, like 12 or 13, like back in like the early 80s, I was checking out, trying to find new heavy metal bands and stuff. I bought this record by the Gordon Giltrap band. It's called Fear of the Dark. And Gordon Giltrap is not heavy metal, but he's a guitarist. It's like jazz fusion, progressive rock kind of thing. The album's called Fear of the Dark, and the Gordon Giltrap band's logo is really similar to the Iron Maiden logo. Check it out. And not only that, but Nico McBrain played in a lineup of the Gordon Giltrap band later.
Okay, and it's no coincidence. I don't these guys.
I don't know. I'm just saying. But it's funny that that Gordon Giltrap album was such an anomaly for me, because I was looking for heavy metal records and it kind of looked like a heavy metal record, but it wasn't. But I kind of liked it. I was like 12, 13. Weird.
You're very open-minded at that age.
Yeah, crazy, right? There was a couple of good tracks. He had a couple of hit singles in England, but he's a kind of prog fusion, like jazzy guitarist. You might like him.
Take a listen.
Fear of the Dark, Gordon Giltrap, 1973, I think it came out. 78, actually, 78.
Okay, so is that? I wonder. Yeah, so Nico's playing in that, and then Pat Travers around the same time, probably.
Interesting. Anyway, that was a little background story from my youth. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about before we get into the double the double album?
We'll talk about it as we get into the songs, but
Okay.
I do think it is a darker album, right?
Yeah.
Even more so than the last one, where they were already edging us into that sort of darker American approach. I think this is another attempt at Americanizing the band in a lot of ways.
All
right. And bringing in darker melody lines and darker approach to the singing. Um, some of the song content too, you know, that we're not. I mean, yeah, there's no Saturday morning cartoons on this one.
True.
We've done away with that for the time being.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive in, huh?
Okay. So as we mentioned it already a little bit, you were interested in the thrash of Be Quick or Be Dead. Actually
Yes.
got the proper 12-inch single of it, non-picture disc version, with some Derek Riggs, not very good artwork on it. It's okay.
I think that's an all right looking single though.
Yeah, it's nice gatefold.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks contemporary. It looks
Yeah,
of the time. You know, that sort of like newspaper background thing. What is it? What is it? Stock market or
yeah. It's supposed to be Robert Maxwell, right?
oh, okay, yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah, it's all about newspapers and kind of like. But I just noticed it says stop press, Iron Maiden, Castle Donington, August 22nd, 1992, and that was when they played with Guns N' Roses, right?
I believe so. Sounds right to me. And
Yeah,
they released a live recording of that.
that's it. Yeah, so this is the lead-off track. Pretty ripping. It's a good song.
I like this song.
Beady.
Hold on, let's have a look here. Oh, in my notes on screen, I wrote down the songwriters. So
Mm-mm.
last album we had no Yannick Gur's
Right.
contributions, despite him being a member of the band. This album he brings a lot. This is one of them. This song is very Yannick Gur's to me because it's Blackmore-esque to me. Now I
Mm-mm.
think they sort of like roughed it up a little bit, you know, tried to like make it sound tougher. But the riff is essentially like a Richie Blackmore riff.
Yeah.
And they did try to thrash it up, which is almost like you're already too late for that trend, guys.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a really bad video for it where they're filmed. It's a low budget video and they're filmed like outside, like in a courtyard. Like it just looks like they're like outside of a church or something, and the camera just keeps like spinning around the group of them, and like Bruce like headbanging, and they're all in leather jacket, and they look so out of their element. It's so
Yeah.
dumb. I mean, it just you can tell what they're trying to do, what they're trying to sell with this song,
Right.
and it doesn't come across there. But it's an interesting song because it's different from Maiden.
Yeah.
And this is like a great example of like the darker melody lines for the vocals, you know, like usually, well, in the 80s Maiden, you expect, I guess, the guitar lines and the vocal lines, you'd expect them to resolve on like these big major keys and sound triumphant, and this kind of sounds angry and a little more downtrodden. It's like, you know, I don't know what kind of scale it is they're using, but you know, it has a different flavor that is not even heard on the Paul era records.
It's short too. It's like 3 minutes 21. This is
Love that.
interesting because this is a pretty long album. It's almost an hour, but there's only like one really long song on it. It's like most of the songs are pretty swift.
They're like medium length. There's like
Yeah.
a in the 4 and 5 minute range, kind of.
Yeah, it's a good opener. I think I prefer it to the Tail Gunner, although I do like the Tail Gunner a lot. But this is more.
It's a great way to pull you into the album. Yeah, high energy, exciting. You know, originally when I heard it, the vocals were the sticking. I just kept thinking like, I wish he sang this like he sings Aces High.
Yeah.
But if you take it for what it is, pretty good song.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree. From Here to Eternity. Was
You like it?
What do we make of this song? This is it's got that kind of Who style guitar thing going on a little bit again at the beginning.
Well, I think this is an example of them Americanizing the band.
Yeah.
You don't hear the trademark gallop. It kind of, the delivery is, it's a little bit almost Guns N' Roses-y.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, just stuff like LA Guns or something. It's
Yeah.
got the big gang vocals that are like really big in the LA records at
And
that time.
that hell ain't a bad place to be thing kind of annoys me a little bit when I've already got the Brian Johnson thing on my shoulder as well.
Not the last AC/DC comparison on this album. I like this song, but it's like, I mean, it's kind of like, it just, it could be on the Tattooed Millionaire album,
Mm-mm.
even though it's written by Steve Harris. It just, it again, it's another like Jordan playing baseball song. It's just like, it's the guys like refusing to do the things that they're best at because they
Mm.
want to show that they're good at something else,
Right.
and they they need to find a way to integrate these other things with what they're best at, and there's some that they find that on some of these songs.
Yeah. Again, this kind of it could have been off No Prayer for the Dying. Really, it's kind of similar vibe to that album.
Yeah, I mean, because that album, like I said, very Americanized
Yeah.
take on the formula.
Yeah. Decent rocker. What's my notes for this?
Yeah, it's like it's very No Prayer for the Dying because it's like an inoffensively unremarkable
Exactly.
song.
Don't hate it. Don't love it. I also want to say that the single "I Don't Have It" has just got the worst. You know, it's like this yellow, like stretched logo. I forget what's even on it, but it's really hard to make out what the cover is.
I'm blank. You know, as the famous comment says, we're not even true fans.
Yeah, I used to have it actually. Got rid of it. Don't know why. There you go. So, track 3. We haven't talked about this for a while. The kind of what stayed in the set list and what got thrown out and all that kind of thing, right? But this one is one that, for some reason, they decided to keep in the set list.
And they brought it back in 2012.
Right.
Which,
Why is that?
oh, I wondered the same thing, because I watched about half the venue leave to get beer when they started this song. I think the real like diehard Maiden fans like this song because it's representative of this album that gets not a lot of love from the band. This is a terrible song. This is a total miss. If I was cutting songs from the album, I would cut this song. I don't know why it's number 3 in the track order.
Yeah, it's really jarring. It's kind of got this kind of, is that a waltz going on? Am I hearing a waltz or like a slow sea shanty
I
kind
know what you're saying. Yeah, it does have a like a weird like 3/4 time or something going on. Takes forever to get going, and then you get that long middle section, and then at the end it just speeds up out of nowhere.
I'm kind of grateful for that. I think it's like a second tempo change. I'm kind of grateful for that, but it's too little, too late for me.
I almost feel it could be on the X Factor, and I don't mean the single tracks from the X Factor. I mean like the deep half of that album, where I just don't know what's going on. Yeah, not great.
A mystery to me, and a mystery. It's the second longest song on the album as well, and it's just a real mystery to me why they would bring this one back out of all the songs they've got to choose from.
Yeah, I truly can't say.
We'll never know. Let us know in the comments. Maybe someone knows why.
Harris, let us know.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's side 1, right? That's the side 1.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Turn over side 2. Side 2, Fear is the Key. It's kind of got these Egyptian kind of cashmere vibes kind of going on, but like not done quite right.
Well, did you notice it's another Yannick Gers song?
It is, yeah.
And so to me, once again, that says Richie Blackmore.
There you go. Yeah.
And when you hear him do that like long sustained guitar note in the beginning, and then you also, this song has like Hammond organs in it.
Yeah.
It's very obvious to me this is an attempt at doing Rainbow. Um, Unfortunately, it just doesn't really justify itself as a Maiden song. It's like half formed where you hear some Rainbow stuff going on, and you're like, oh, this is, this is something new. They're gonna do like, basically a tribute song. um and then it just kind of veers off, and it doesn't really, I mean, it's weird because you could hear Dio sing this song
Yeah.
and maybe even sell it. um in that way, it reminds me a little bit of like when Craig Goldie would write kind of Rainbow influenced songs for the Dio solo band. um but it's just kind of a nothing burger at the end. It's okay. I like listening to it, just
Mm.
kind of hearing them try to make a song in a different style.
It's kind of well known for its kind of lyrical theme too, right? And that nobody cares until someone famous dies blind.
Yeah,
Like Freddie Mercury, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's all about the kind of AIDS and what's going on in the media and people's reaction to that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I respect that this song. I respect the song because it's a big swing. They really they're trying something here. There's some like lyrical content here. um I wouldn't cut it from the album per se, just because I think it's interesting. Every time it comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the Rainbow song. uh,
Okay.
I like Rainbow a lot, so
Yeah. Hey, me too. Yeah. Childhood's End. A little bit of an evil that men do thing going on with this one. No, a little
it's
bit.
it's dark like Evil That Men Do.
Mm.
um
But I
this
don't
is
really
a,
like the harmonies on it. The guitar and the synth harmonies. I'm not a huge fan.
they get a little repetitive.
Mm.
I like this song. You know what, I think I overreacted. I like this song. The
Okay.
the drums get a little bit annoying as it
Mm.
goes on, and it's sort of like, I don't love the idea when it comes on. I'm not automatically skipping it, but it, it's certainly not my favorite. It's not what I come to the table for.
Right.
um this it definitely, again, like reminds me of that like darker, almost like Metallica Unforgiven or something like that. Like, it
Mm.
obviously not built like that song, but it has that kind of mood of like just like angsty 90s. I don't know. It feels like them trying to put themselves into a box they don't really fit in. um
That's a Steve Harris composition, right? A solo
yep.
composition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which leads us to another Yannick contribution.
Possibly the first song on the album.
I'm going to put this out there and say this might be my least favorite Iron Maiden song in the entire catalog. What was he thinking of with this one? A little bit of Whitesnake, maybe, like Whitesnake ballad.
That makes more sense.
Mm.
I wrote that it almost had a little bit of a Dream On Aerosmith flavor to it. Uh, Obviously, nowhere near as good as that song.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it's minor key. It's a ballad. It drags. I mean, I get it. They were trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
They were seen a certain way by the music press, and they felt that they had to show that they weren't just that. Um, to me, this just seems like the wrong move, especially, it seemed like the last album they were short on songs, and they really had to like squeeze out just to get those. They had to get a song from Adrian, and they had to get a song written by Bruce's other band. This one, it feels like they have more than enough songs for a single LP, and now they're trying to like force this double LP because they have like a slight excess of material.
Right.
Or just trying to make it CD length.
Mm-mm-mm.
bad move, and this song is a great example of that.
Yeah, I call it wasting my time. That's what I call this
Yeah,
song.
it's good. Write that down.
Yeah, let's forget about this song. Okay, so we've had the Assassin on the last album. Now we have the Fugitive. Yes, you know, on that Back in the Village, you had that kitchen thing where you really hated the Back in the Kitchen thing, or
Yeah.
whatever it was. I had
Yep.
the same problem with this song. It's that I've got to clear my name. That thing. He keeps saying it over and over again. It really
Uh,
annoys me. It's such a stupid. I'm a fugitive. I've got to clear my name, and that's like it's like the meat of the song. It's yeah.
it's just different when Paul is singing "Running Free" and
Mm,
"Sanctuary" and all that stuff. It just doesn't work the same way when Bruce does it. Um, it, I like this song. Okay.
okay.
I I mean, it's for me the problem with this album is like there's a dull middle, and then it starts to pick up steam again, and The Fugitive is sort of in between the two.
Yeah. There's a little bit that kind of sounds like a '90s version of Murders in the Rue Morgue. There's a little passage that has that kind of a feel to it in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a terribly long song, so
Nah.
it's okay with me.
Yeah. So that's the Fugitive, and then we get like 3 songs in a row that are like under 4 minutes. It's pretty crazy, right? Just like 3.5, 3 minutes, 3 songs in a row. Um, Chains of Misery. Do you know? Do you remember Vanessa Warwick? Remember that woman?
I don't.
I think she's British. She was on like MTV. She did Headbangers Ball and stuff in England. I just imagine her like introducing like this song and actually the one after it as well. It just reminds me of.
I like this song for multiple reasons.
Oh,
One
okay.
is so I see where you're coming from, but let me flip it on you. One thing about it is it has my favorite kind of songwriting credit, and that is a Dave Murray
There
songwriting
you go,
credit.
your mate Dave. Yeah.
Love to see Dave working. And now I know that some people think this has kind of like a sleazy groove to it. It has
Does.
that.
Mm,
Um, I I think that this is Maiden successfully
mm,
reinterpreting the American sound, as opposed to many of these other songs where they're
mm.
trying to Americanize and it sounds boring. I just think this song is great. It rocks. I know a lot of people don't like it because it sounds American.
Oh,
Um,
that could be my reason.
but I mean, it is a little bit of like a hair metal feel,
It's a little
but
funky.
for whatever reason, I think they sell it. It's a little bit of White Snake in there, maybe.
Yeah. We like Whitesnake, in my
Huh?
house. I like Whitesnake.
I know, I do know that about you.
Mm.
I love this song. I love this part
You
of
love
the
it.
album.
Wow.
I mean, it's relative, but
Mm.
it is still, uh, classic era Maiden more or less.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Our viewers like it. If at least one of us is positive, they don't. So yeah, yeah, cool. Chains of Misery. Even the song title has like a certain thing, like a certain ring to it. Very
Yeah, no,
90s.
it works.
Mm.
I think it's a fun song. Like I feel like some of these songs, if they pop them out on tour, um, some of these shorter ones, they
Mm.
would be surprised how excited people would be.
Right.
I think Chains of Misery would go over pretty well, actually. Better
Well,
than Afraid to Shoot Strangers.
I was gonna say if I was, given the choice, I would take the chains definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What about the Apparition?
I was thinking I mentioned the apparition at the beginning of the show. I wonder if the song's about this guy. Who knows?
Could be.
I think for me it's kind of similar to the Chains of Misery. Like I just put like faceless, soulless, like MTV Vanessa Warwick, like heavy metal.
This one sounds like AC/DC a little bit to me.
Yeah, does it?
There's a few AC/DC-ish songs, but like
Oh, Yannick
more,
Gers Look again.
Yeah, that's another Gers song. It's a weird song. Like it's just about like ghost stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like lyrically more vague than I just like Bruce wants to sing songs about like history, just like and you can feel the guys like don't write a song about the French Revolution, Bruce. Don't do it. Just write about ghosts.
The
And
apparition.
just you can feel everybody trying to hold each other back and trying to make songs that they think people will like. And you don't have to do that, guys. But then that brings me to my favorite part of the album, the last three songs.
Interesting. So sometimes, like for the purpose of this like series, I watch other people's videos. Like the ranking the Iron Maiden videos. This, that, and the other. And there's one in particular that I watched that he went through the whole discography in like an hour. It's pretty cool, actually. It was pretty well done. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was raving about this song. He was like, "This is like the lost nugget, the hidden gem on this record. It's a classic. It's one of the best Iron Maiden songs. This, that, and the other." And I'm thinking that you might be sharing this opinion here, Chris.
Who wrote the song, Mike? What's the writing credit?
There he is, Mr. Murray. There he is. He's got the Murray touch.
This is classic Maiden style. This is an amazing song. Judas, my guide. It sounds like it could be on Somewhere in Time or Seventh Son. It's such a like, yeah, I don't know. This song is great. This is like a 5-star, like, full like Swiss watch Iron Maiden song.
Wow.
I never get tired of it.
Wow. I just gonna say that Dave Murray doesn't disappoint in this song.
Absolutely not.
Right.
One of his best writing credits, in my opinion. Not quite Charlotte the Harlot, but it's up there, man.
Wow, we have a real. That's cool. I like this. We're on the last episode, and we have a real like difference of opinion. It sounds like it's like Swedish power metal gone a little bit wrong. I don't know. I don't like the chorus at all either. Just it annoys me.
Wow. Well, we're really not on the same page today.
That's funny. That's cool. That's cool. And this song and some others really kind of like will contribute to my overall ranking of this album, actually. But you just said that the last three songs are your favorite part of the album, right?
I like Weekend Warrior. I like Chains of Misery more, but I don't know. Part of what I like about Weekend Warrior, everybody compares it to AC/DC, and I get that. But part of what I like about it is it sounds like they're enjoying themselves, whereas a lot of these songs where they're like Americanizing what they do, they just sound like so unhappy. And this one just has like an ounce of enjoyment, maybe just because they've never done a song like this before. It's very commercially minded. And I mean, I know we talked a lot about like the grunge stuff and sort of the darker heavy metal of the time, but it is worth remembering 1992, like Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, even Whitesnake. I think Whitesnake had probably broken up in 91, if I'm remembering correctly. David Coverdale took a solo sojourn, as it were. But like that style was still more dominant than sort of like the rewriting of history would lead you to believe. So like I get why they have a song like this on here, and I don't know, man, like I think this is a fun song.
Yeah, I did put AC/DC question mark. Like, I don't like. It's strange. I mean, I liked No Prayer for the Dying, right? But there's just something a bit off about the songs
It
on this album?
feels, I mean, there's no question that something's not right. And it's like it's like their reluctance to do harmonies, their reluctance to do
Mm,
like, complex compositions, their reluctance to do any galloping, the reluctance to do like the same vocal style, or reluctance to do any of the lyrical trademarks. And it's funny because even if they're downplaying all these things that make them Iron Maiden, if you heard this and it was some other band, you'd be
yeah.
like, oh, they kind of sound like Iron Maiden, I think,
Mm,
but not as like progressive and not as, British. And so it's like, even when they're really trying to squeeze it all out of the sound, they still have some remnant of it. But knowing that it's Iron Maiden, it's impossible to not just be like, it sounds off. And I think this album, as we approach the final track on it, I think this is a solid album. And I think, especially if you're like past the sort of beginner level Iron Maiden stuff,
mm, mm, mm.
as an intermediate listener, there's a lot to enjoy here. There's a lot to enjoy, and there's good songs, but it is at this weird nexus point where the band's about to fall apart, where Bruce is obviously thinking about his solo career, where every everything is changing around these guys and they're just trying to hold on.
Mm.
And that brings us to the title track.
Okay. Before even, you've seen them play this song live, right?
Yeah.
Did it influence your like opinion of this song in any way? Were you into the song before you saw it live?
It's a difficult question because I
Mm.
heard live versions before I saw
Okay.
them play it
But
live.
seeing it and being in the room, as we haven't mentioned it for a while, but that sort of the soccer stadium,
I
this.
know what you're getting at. I think it's been improved by the band making it a staple song and it
Mm.
becoming a staple song for them. But I still think it's one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I think, well, it's the closest thing to a classic Iron Maiden song, stylistically and sort of thematically on the album. And that's maybe part of why the album's so perplexing, because you get like sections and moments where it feels like Iron Maiden, and then you blink and you're in the middle of Afraid to Shoot Strangers, and you're just like, you don't know what's going on. I mean, this is a classic. This is like one of the, there's probably like a dozen staple songs, and this is one of them. This is one of their highest played on Spotify and YouTube. Even above some of the ones that probably you and I would consider more bigger hits.
Mm.
Um,
They pretty much always play this one, right, Chris?
at this point, yeah. I think uh, part of what influences that is also, because Yannick has remained in the band. Sometimes
Mm.
when they do these classic years tours, they're playing a lot of songs that he didn't have anything to do with. And so, aside from this being a fan favorite that always gets a big reaction live,
Yeah.
it's also sort of a way to like keep, his, an album that he played on as part of the story of the band. Because, they don't play songs from No Prayer for the Dying.
Right.
They only occasionally, a few tours over the last 20 years have they played songs from the Blaze albums.
Mm.
Um, and so, I think part of why it's been kept in the set as much as it has, it not only to please the fans, but also just to kind of be like, hey man, like we know you came into this band at a bumpy time, but it still counts. It's still a part of the story. Um, but I mean, it's a good song.
I kind of actually went and checked out a bunch of like live versions on YouTube to see if it would like sway my opinion of this song. And I'm kind of just because Iron Maiden was supposed to play in Japan like last year, was it? It was like just as Corona was coming into Japan, and they cancelled. But I was actually looking forward to seeing this song live because I've never seen it played live, obviously. So I was kind of hoping that seeing it live would kind of win me over, and I would like be, I changed my opinion about this song because I'm not really a big fan of it. I haven't climbed that hurdle. I've climbed a lot of hurdles in this series, but
We've made some discoveries, both of us. I think.
yeah, I don't hate it, but I just, it's either it doesn't do a lot for me, to be honest, and it's got that little bounce, the bounce in it.
This is really where the bounce takes root.
The jumping up and down in unison. I don't want to see that.
Um, well, I have news for you.
But
Yeah, I think this is one of the best songs of the era.
mm,
And yeah, I think it's like a reasonable summation of the album itself too.
oh, I mean, I totally get why it's a fan favorite. I totally get why they keep it in the set list. I really do. It's just, and it's just not for me. But
I'd recommend the Rock in Rio version.
okay, I have got that actually. I've got the album, haven't I? I've got the
Yeah, you should.
and the
Because
DVD.
at that point, Bruce's,
Mm,
they played this on the Hammersmith or Donington live album, and they play it on a Real Live One, Real Dead One album.
right.
He's still sort of doing the raspier vocals, but Rock in Rio version, you get sort of the Bruce that we
Mm,
associate Bruce
okay.
with, and you get a little Adrian playing backup guitar on that too.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. That's the end of the album. But it's not even that. It's only like 7 minutes too, right? It's not like a huge
Yeah,
long.
no, it's about Hallowed Be Thy Name length. It's no
Yeah.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah. There you go.
Well,
We're done.
and that's that, and that should be probably the last Iron Maiden song we'll ever rank.
Yeah.
Where does this album sit for you, Mike?
You know what? So you've been clever and you've like or been cheating, whichever way you want to look at it, and kept a spreadsheet of like the scores you've been given.
Actually, it's just a post-it.
Okay, okay, there you go. I haven't done such a thing. I'm not clever enough to do that. So, but I do remember what my lowest ranking album is so far, and I do believe that's the X Factor, right? For me, that's my lowest so far. So
Certain feels like it has to be.
it is, and so it's neck and neck, Chris, for me. It's neck and neck, and I'm
Can't
going to
believe
keep it a
it's a matter of life
surprise.
over
It's neck and
this.
neck with the X Factor. That's that's all I'm saying for the moment, because it's anything could happen between now and next week.
Well, to me, this album is a 7.
Wow.
Um, because, like I said, there's a chunk of it that I really do enjoy. Um, it's not perfect, but yeah, I take it over a fair amount of
Yeah.
material actually.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, on the whole, I think it performs better than the Blaze records.
Mm.
I might take it over No Prayer for the Dying. I sort of sometimes go back and forth on that, but I think I probably will.
Mm.
And I like it better than a couple of the other albums too.
Okay. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Sometimes this album ranks very, very high and sort of, it's never been above number 7 in the list for me. But sometimes it ranks very high, and sometimes it kind of like swings back down.
This is weird though, Chris. Even like for me, as someone that doesn't really like this album very much, I still like kind of see it as like a famous Iron Maiden album. You know, it's like I don't know why it seems to be like really in the. A lot of people seem to know this album and might not be, huge Iron Maiden fans. Everyone kind of knows Fear of the Dark. Uh,
I
and
could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Fear of the Dark, the song, was in some video games,
yeah,
and something that we don't really ever talk about. But some of these songs have had a second life because
Mm,
of like those guitar-based games.
okay.
And for people who are kids, when those games came out, that's like how they probably found out about Iron Maiden.
Right. Well, Chris, it's been quite the voyage, the maiden voyage. The name I was going to use for this series, but already been taken. Right.
Yeah.
16 albums, almost 16 hours of discussion, but it's not finished yet. We're going to do a bonus episode next week, right? Next
Yeah.
week, we're going to rank the albums. Chris has already got his list on the little blue sheet.
But
Could
you
change
know,
it, right?
yeah, I could make some changes to this.
Yeah, so please look forward to that. We'll do our own ranking from worst to best and see how we compare. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, wow, we're so close to the end. I can't believe it.
I know we've had sort of requests on they've got to do all the live albums next. You fancy that? There's a lot of them.
I can run you down which ones I like.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, we'll see.
we could do about one episode of all about the live albums.
I think that's about as
Yeah, I
much
think it'll
as
be stretching a bit.
was now they put out a live album for every tour they do. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
there's a lot. There's many. Yeah. Okay.
All
As
right.
always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. You've been with us all the way through. We've got some loyal fans who've been from the start to the beginning. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, episode 17, ranking studio albums. Can't wait. Swords might be drawn. Okay, until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.